Hello, everyone. For this session, you'll need to put headphones on. So if you have headphones in front of you, and then hopefully you'll be able to hear me. Maybe a thumbs up if you can hear me. It's very eerie not hearing myself, but okay, fantastic. Brilliant. Well, we'll get started. We'll come on stage. So today we've got a session on oiling your operational engine, really focused on everything operations in the hotels, whilst maintaining a high-quality guest experience, staff experience as well, with obviously operational excellence and being efficient as well. So I'd love to introduce first my panelists that I have with me. Maybe I'll let you introduce yourselves. So I'll start here with Tini. Please, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Charlie. Hi, I'm Tini. I'm working for Hotel Oderberger. We are a boutique hotel in Berlin. And what's very special about us, we are a swimming pool from 1902. So we're a historic building, are now a boutique hotel. We do events. And we're really happy to have Mews as a PMS.
Hello, my name is Diederik. I am the IT director for Zien Group. I have been in hospitality IT for about 25 years. And it's quite interesting that I've actually lived the whole transformation from the IT department. I think when I first started, we were perceived to be a pure cost center, operated and managed by a couple of IT crowd geeks in the basement of a hotel. But nowadays, we are really seen as a business enabler and managed by the same IT geeks and crowd, but we have an office with daylight, which is a big achievement. I'm very happy to be here today, especially because it's IT talking about oiling an operational engine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm Luka. I'm the founder of Flexkeeping. So our story actually started in 2012 when I went for a summer to the US and was working as a housekeeper for one summer. And so I felt the pains, and fun how it is when you're running with pen and paper, essentially. And that experience really drove me to found Flexkeeping to make it much easier. So with Flexkeeping, the idea always was and still is to essentially focus on three things. We want to automate as many processes as possible so that people have more time. We want to enable teams to collaborate better, multinational teams, multilingual teams, and so on. And thirdly, we want to empower teams to also personalize every guest stay through our platform. So that's Flexkeeping in a nutshell, and awesome partnership with Mews. Happy to be here.
Yeah, fantastic. Super happy to have you all here as well. I do just want to say very quickly, as with all of the sessions, questions, you can put them in the Slido, so via the app. The difference is you just need to select the atrium room, which is what we're in now, for those questions to come through. We'll start off with some questions on stage, and then we'll get to the Slido questions as well. So I do want to start off with you, Luka. You naturally talk to a lot of hotels, a lot of different properties. And when we think about operational efficiency, for me at least, I think the most important thing is how do we measure operational efficiency? It can sometimes be a bit of an enigma almost. So when you're speaking to hotels, what are the sort of metrics and objectives that you think hotels are recording, and how do you think best properties can measure that operational efficiency essentially?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that as I don't have a general answer to that. So the first thing that I always ask any new company that we talk to is like, what do you want to achieve? What's actually your driver? Why are we talking? Like, what's your problem? What's your challenge? Usually the usual drivers are: do you not have enough staff? Is it a cost driver, an efficiency driver? Do you need to control something? Like, it's figuring that out first, I think. The great thing is that once you digitize, it's like Christmas of options. I had those talks today with many companies that are going from zero to something. But still, after that, it's about knowing what you want to achieve. So if I go back to my housekeeping days, for example, my frustration was I was looking at our supervisor. She was running the whole day like crazy, just figuring out what's done. I was always surprised. Like, I thought I'm going home, and relax, but then I got 3 more rooms to clean when I came out. The front office never knew what we were doing because just the lack of information in real time. And so let's say when I then thought about it, okay, with flexing, what we could achieve, it was, okay, we'll be faster, we'll do less mistakes, people will check in faster, guests will get a cleaner room, the management team will get data and visibility. And that's nice, that's the Christmas part, But after that, once you have all of those data, this is the point where it really gets exciting because you can go deeper. And I maybe have an interesting example. Let's say maintenance tickets are such a typical thing that everyone would look at, okay, so we have this 3 or 5 or 10 most frequent problems, and then we're going to tackle 80-20 concept and to handle the most of it. Yeah. But that's really not the source of the problem, What you can go looking into that is like, okay, so how is that distributed, those 100, 200 tickets, distributed between teams? Who is communicating that, If a big part is on the front office or on the management team, then probably there's communication or, kind of bottlenecks or something like that. Yeah. Another really interesting fact we looked at is what's the time of the day that guests communicate maintenance problems versus the time that we fix them, and what's the trend? And then you see the classical data, like 7 to 9, logically, everyone gets up, you get your problems, you report them, and you fix them. Yeah. But then again, it happens at 4 to 6 p.m. or 4 to 7 or 3 to 5, depends on the, and those are the same problems. So with going deeper like that, you can become strategical from reactive to proactive, and that's when data and digitization gets exciting. And maybe clear objectives, and then looking at data like that is when you can do changes. Yeah. So I don't know, there's not what should you should look like. You should understand what do I want to provide as a service. What's our North Star? Is that a clean room? Is that a 2 p.m. check-in? I don't know. What's your goal, and then deploy automation to it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to open that up to either Tini or Diederik. When you're looking at your business and you're trying to measure operational efficiency, is there any particular metrics? I know, Tini, you had an example of a sort of a crisis that you had. It's not so much a metric, but where sort of technology and cloud-based technology in particular were able to sort of keep you being efficient and operational full stop during that time. And maybe you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. It's actually, maybe some of you heard about it, because last year, we couldn't come to Unfold because we had a major power cut at the hotel. It was a problem in the, don't even ask, it was a really big problem. And actually, I didn't think it could happen these days, but the whole hotel was without electricity for 7 days. Yeah. And we thought, okay, we're gonna die. And I was planning to come to Mews Unfold last year. I couldn't come due to the power cut. This time only the train had a power cut, so at least I'm here.
Not brought your power issues here.
I'm sorry for all my power issues, but what I was going to say is that we were able to keep operations running. Of course, the hotel was full, and if you would have server-based system, if the electricity is down, you don't even know who's where, who paid, who didn't, who's going, whatever. So we just organized some power banks, charged our phones, and then all the staff could do everything with Mews, just using operations as we could charge credit cards, we could check people out. Nobody wanted to check in as there was no electricity. But so we could keep on, and we were able to see, okay, which were our clients supposed to come. We were sending them messages. So as Luka said, I think it's not only the PMS. I mean, the PMS is the base, but we also changed, when we changed the PMS, we changed from the Middle Age to the 21st century. And only having a cloud-based PMS like Mews, you can put and add all the, in German you say Baukasten, you can add all the integrations that you like to add, and then it's a lifestyle, you know, it's a way of life, how you use your PMS. Yeah,
I suppose most importantly, you could refund guests as well, right? Because I suppose no one wanted to check in because you didn't have any power.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's also very important. Diederik, as an IT manager, IT director at Zien Group, and being an independent group in particular, how do you, when you're selecting systems and having an ecosystem of cloud-based technology that connects together, what are you looking for when you're selecting systems, and how are you building that around being operationally excellent, operationally efficient as a business?
Big question, huh? When I speak to a typical IT crowd, I would probably state something like, technology is easy. It's the people that are complicated and complicating my life. But the truth is, actually, technology isn't simple. It's quite complicated to do it right. And whenever somebody enters my office and asks me, to help out and oil the operational engine in whatever way possible, I get, first of all, very excited, because this is where action is going to start to happen. I'm going to put whatever we've heard downstairs and whatever we talk about here into action. How do I go about it? I will typically ask some really good questions back to the person that enters my world. And like you said, I really need to define from the first stages on, what does success look like for you? What are we talking about? Is it the entire guest journey that you want to address? Do you want to add online check-in? Do you want to remove a reception desk? It really is important for me to understand what does success look like. Now, from that point on, I will have a couple of sessions with the operational specialist. It could be front of house, it could be housekeeping, it could be marketing, sales, finance, anybody that has any touch point on what we're talking about. So imagine somebody asked to revamp the guest journey. It's a big one. We hear about it a lot. So you start by identifying what does success look like. Then you take the guest journey, and I want always to look at the two sides. The first one is the guest-facing side, the obvious one. How do we allow a guest to find a hotel? How do we want them to make a booking, the payment? Do we want to provide online check-in? So a couple of the checkboxes. At the same time, you map this out and you look at what kind of processes, what are the teams doing to support that experience, and what tools, what systems do we need to make that happen. All of that is necessary to create actually something that I call the list of requirements. It's a big checkbox list where we map all the capabilities that we're looking for to support and to really deliver this experience to the guests in the end, and to automate the processes for the teams and the staff that make it happen. So a list of requirements, once we've done our homework, and there's quite a bit of thoughtfulness that we need to do there, I will add my typical IT stuff on it. We've heard this morning security. There is something about governance, and typically I remind them about training that's sometimes overlooked, compliance, all of that stuff, the boring IT stuff I put over on top of it. And in the end, that results in a very nice, exhaustive list of requirements. Now, with that list, I can go shopping, right? I can really look for what platform, what system is actually adding value and providing what we're looking for to deliver this top line, what we just defined. And I don't limit myself to look at best in class only. I really look which platform is the best fit. And it could be that there's already an existing platform that with a bit of fine-tuning, tweaking, or upgrading, or whatever, it will do the job just fine. And when going through this vast, marketplace of solutions out there, I keep two things in mind. I want to have automation where possible and where it makes sense. So there's automation. And the second one is elimination. If there is a platform that doesn't really add value, I get rid of it. And that's really what we can do. We can build the experience out of the little blocks of platforms out there, and then we can measure the success very easily because we know and we defined what success would look like. Now, coming back to your question on the metrics, for us, we typically look at, I think it's the same for most of you, guest satisfaction, employee satisfaction, and of course the financial metrics. So those three pillars are there.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm interested. At the start of that, you said technology is easy. I'm wondering how many people in the audience agree with that today.
No, I
this is
hope
where
they disagree.
hopefully everyone that's on Mews agrees, and then everyone who's not doesn't. So
that's, Charlie, it's true. If technology would be easy, you and I would not have a job.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Then everybody would do it perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And no.
And that was going to be my second point as well. I think you're lucky enough at Zien Group to have yourself at the business who can go through that and produce a real list of requirements across the business. And I think not every business does have that in place, but there are, I know I can see a few of them, there are consultants around as well who can help out those independent businesses and come in as that sort of external, voice almost, because we're all, in operations, we're all day-to-day firefighting and dealing with, just taking a day out to be here today is probably I can imagine you're all thinking about what's going on back at the properties and in your inboxes and things like that. So yeah, exactly. So you mentioned there like technology and the ease of plugging and play, removing something if it's not helping you, but Also adding things in if it enhances the experience that you're either offering to your staff or helping your operations or providing a better guest experience whilst being efficient, because that's the important piece. When we think about especially luxury hotels, they have a lot of staff in order to do that, and not every hotel has that luxury. So Tini, I wanted to talk to you because I know recently you introduced a chatbot at your property, if I'm not mistaken. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the chatbot, the impact that's had both on the guest experience, but also, on your staff as well.
Yes, so it's actually not that recent. It's already 1.5 years ago, so time passes fast. But I think we heard this already 2 times today on the main stage with the speakers. It's very important to make your staff see that AI or tools will not replace them, but they need to work with them and accept and adapt it how did they say? Either it's not an AI person who replaces you, but it's a person who uses AI that will replace you. So you need to be open. You cannot just close and say, oh, I don't want any new tools whatsoever. And what I like is also that the tools are improving and developing themselves. So for example, the Dialogue Shift chatbot, we have it for 1.5 years now. And actually, thanks to using the PMS, I can spend my winter on Madeira Island and do operations from there.
Very nice.
And the first time I did it after we implemented the chatbot, I came back and I asked my staff, is our telephone broken? And no, because there was I don't know, 3/4 less of telephone calls. It was such unbelievable thing to see. And so it really takes off the easy question, do you accept dogs? Do you have a pool? How much is your parking? And all those calls, which would be calls or emails, they're just vanished for the easy question. So that's really great. And I took the team on the whole setup process, which was really important. So so in order for them not to be afraid, okay, we have now a chatbot, we will cancel one receptionist. We just said, okay, let's develop this together. We did the whole the hologram, we did it together, the name, we voted on the name, so they were completely in the process, and that's why it got accepted so well. And then about the developing, the tools are developing also, so now they put the AI on that chatbot, and they're also the front office manager and the guest relation were no, AI, it's too new. And yes, it has some problems. This year was really funny. On the 29th of February, the chatbot was oh my God, this day is not, it doesn't exist. So I don't know what to tell. So it has some some things we heard in the keynote with the speaker, but it's very important to stay on the train, get on it. Now they have an AI which can answer emails, so you should stay on track and not fall behind.
Yeah, I can say even from my days in operations, I went through a number of different chatbots at our property, trying different things. And I think in hindsight, it would have been better for me to come with a better set of requirements originally to nail it the first time. But I think either way, whether you do or not, the ability to adapt and change and plug and play systems is really, really important. On the topic of housekeeping in particular, obviously Flexkeeping has an integration with us, and I see there's a question about Flexkeeping as well, which we'll come to in a little bit. And just a reminder, if you do have questions, put them in the Slido, and we'll get to those in just a minute. Housekeeping, and from my experience, and I'm sure the experience of many people here, is often a place where there is a lot of operational friction, I would say. That can be for many different reasons, but I think language in particular, and often housekeepers, certainly for me and my property in London, were not necessarily fluent in English or any common language. And so as a housekeeping app where you are dealing with people who are of all sorts of different nationalities with all sorts of different language skills, how do you find that you alleviate that operational friction of Flexkeeping, and how does that help with that operational efficiency?
So I don't think that friction in housekeeping primarily is because of a language barrier. I think it's primarily because the housekeeping department is traditionally the least equipped department with tech and any forward tools. I'm saying from experience, from what I've experienced firsthand to just seeing other properties across the world. So it's really awesome, and it's been time to see that now housekeeping is also getting attention with digitization, with automation and all those things. But still there are too many examples where properties are figuring out, should we invest into mobile phones and equipping every housekeeper? this is the only way you can really personalize a stay and really automate and understand operations is if you have every team member on board with the same or one tool where they can all be a part of a service delivery. Because otherwise, it just doesn't happen. For example, I know I'm deviating from the language question, but for example, coincidentally, we are running a pilot together, right?
Yeah.
So, by the way, they have really defined their objectives really well, and it's really super good to collaborate because we can work on those objectives very clearly. Yeah. But inside of that, there's also a personalization or automation thing that Diederik said. And for example, if there's a baby cot on a reservation, if there's 5 people and that's a family setup, if there are specifics, if you do not include every team member into that, you'll automatically have friction just because someone needs to do extra steps, extra explanations, to get a service delivered. But it is true that housekeeping is naturally a team of multicultural and multilingual people. But again, we all have so much tech, Google Translate, AI, ChatGPT-4.
So every one of us has a phone in our pocket.
Exactly. So the magic here is not really a magic, it's just providing all of that tech as well. So we do that obviously as a platform. So we have automatic translations. We now even did the first AI for that so that housekeepers can just speak in their language and it gets automatically translated. Pictures. Emojis, you told me also. I just got today a message from our team that a client is putting emojis into tasks, into maintenance tickets, into SOPs, into everything, and it's awesome.
Angry emojis, hammer emojis,
yeah, like soap,
emojis.
Soap needs refilling, and it's a soap symbol and stuff like that. But it really helps. And you were telling me also an example yesterday. So things like that. So don't think that housekeepers, like the typical thing that happens is housekeepers have a pushback to tech, but that's because they're afraid and they're not tech savvy. Mm-hmm. And what will happen at the end of the day is that the person that will push back the most will be the biggest fan at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. I dare you to test it. Obviously, if the tool is good that is being provided, right? If it's not making their jobs harder, obviously. But yeah, I always think like everything that we're using at home, like the Vibers, the WhatsApps, the tech, the AI, it's the same thing. Why should we differentiate between what we have in the professional setup than what we're used to? So yeah, I see it that way. Yeah, it's absolutely solvable.
Yeah,
I was just saying that we have to define success and what it looks like, and then we build the whole tech stack around it. But the reality is also that this is a moving target. Success will look different maybe a few weeks or a few months down the line. And sometimes you need to review and make sure that whatever we put in place in the first time is flexible enough to adjust and adapt to the new definition of success. And when we started replacing quite a lot of our ecosystem last year, everything looked fine. We were on success. It was great. But this year there was another element that came in, and we felt the need to find a better solution, which we are testing now, for example, with you guys. And the first results, this is only 1 week in production now, are quite interesting. And that's a positive thing where I think you've looked at some of the data. We see that the automated processes have saved us, 10-15 hours of housekeeping time?
In the first 6 days only, yeah.
So this is measurable on hours, but we can also measure it on some of the sustainability targets that we've set, etc. So yeah, this is something where I, as an IT guy, need to anticipate, I don't want to say your mood swings, but the redefinition of what success looks like, I need to be able to absorb that in a relatively fast and flexible way.
Yeah. Sorry.
We definitely aren't in the place yet. I don't think there's many businesses here who have a spare $1 million for the robots that will make the bed for you yet. Maybe one day, but yeah, I think you're quite right. Like the technology to be able to communicate more effectively, simply, whether it's language or just simply instant communication between people who are around the building. I can remember the days of running around the building up and down the stairs to try and find wherever the head housekeeper was because I couldn't get in touch with them and they weren't answering their phone.
And also remember that the housekeepers are the personnel that has the most intimate touch with the guest, essentially, right?
They're in their room.
Yeah. So you should use that as a resource. You should equip them to be your best agent in terms of guest experience, not the last in line of technology and everything else.
I see there's a bunch of questions that have come in on the Slido, so thank you very much. Just again, a reminder, you can go into the Slido, just select the atrium as the room, otherwise you'll be sending your questions to Leah's talk in the main room or something else, and that would be great. I do want to start with, there's a question in there about the chatbot for yourself and the chatbot that you've implemented. Is it via WhatsApp? Is it via voice? And what platform did you use? And maybe just re-clarify that for the audience.
So
it's
the
the very
char
bottom
box
question.
is the chat-
char box, yeah.
The char box is the chat
The
bot?
char box is, I'm assuming it's chatbot, but you know.
I hope so, yeah.
Typos.
Okay, so actually it's possible to do it with WhatsApp, but that's an extra cost. So the thing is, also I would like to say there's so many plugins I can have with Mews, plug and play, but of course every tool costs something, and I have to be profitable.
Yeah.
And so they're offering a lot of things. So for example, they offer the WhatsApp channel also, and with the voice, they will, I think in Q4 of this year, they will have also the telephone chatbot ready.
Okay, fantastic.
So, but of course, you have for each thing you have to pay because it's a nice thing to have. They don't give it for you free, and then you have to decide is it worth or not.
Yeah, and I will just add on that topic as well. I mean, those of you who are our customers here will have hopefully experienced already the Mews digital assistants that we launched a couple of months ago now inside Mews, and you may not see it, and hopefully you'll enjoy using it, and it's helpful for you. I can say internally, we released the numbers after sort of the end of that project, and it's now released. 67% of cases are deflected by the bot now. So 67% of support cases that were previously coming to our support team are now being handled by that bot automatically because they were simple how-to questions. You get an answer instantly, hopefully a high-quality one as well. It comes from our knowledge base, obviously. And it's been revolutionary for us internally, and I think I can only imagine so for properties as well.
I have to say, it's really, really good. I can really say thank you finally, because the support by email was getting, the bigger Mews was getting, the harder it was to get to someone to get an answer. And now it's really, really cool that you get so many answers so fast.
Yeah.
But I can top that, our chatbot answers 98% automatically.
Wow. Well, yeah, there you go. if that doesn't sell it for you, I don't know what does. So, very, very impressive. And I will say as well, you said voice is potentially coming. I'm glad that it's only you guys with headphones on, and so no one else can hear me. But I think that we're planning to launch voice support as well with the same system we're using for the digital assistant. So voice may be coming in the future at some point as well. But hopefully this isn't being recorded. Next question we have in here is, with the developments in technology, automation, and AI, what tools or solutions do we recommend so that we can still improve in guest personalization and recognition, even though so many interactions are now being replaced? Maybe Diederik or Tini, I don't know whether either of you have,
I would say that's exactly what I was talking about before. I think it's very important to see that all those solutions and AI will not replace the hospitality person doing the job, which is the most important thing is for somebody working in hospitality is to give a remarkable experience. That's why we're here for. And those tools just help us to get rid of all the shit stuff that we don't like lists. Like, I don't remember the last time we printed lists. I don't even remember the times before. When we were really in the Middle Age, we spent so much time with stuff repeating itself and being really unnecessary. And now all this is taken care of. And now I can do what is my job, take care and make a really great, remarkable experience for the guest.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I think maybe 5 years ago when we were talking to properties, a lot of people were worried that technology is going to replace the staff, and that was kind of a lot of the line for a lot of technology providers, but I don't see that being the case at all. I think it enhances that experience and makes it more human, because hospitality has become far too much of, hello, can I have your passport? Can I have your card details? Administration work, essentially. And that's not the experience I want when I'm on holiday or traveling for work. I want a warm and welcoming and hospitable, more than anything, environment. There's another question for you, Diederik, next. Given that technology is evolving faster than it can be adopted, which we're seeing with AI, absolutely, because there's a new version of ChatGPT every couple of months at this point, and AI being packed into pretty much everything we see, but in general, technology moving so fast. What agile approaches do you suggest to ensure a hotel remains competitive and can quickly adapt to these changes?
So when selecting any system or any platform that serves a specific purpose, nowadays I keep a few elements in mind, a few guiding principles, so to speak. Leading still is security, so this is something that comes to mind. Regardless of how agile you want to be, you need to keep that in mind. But connectivity and flexibility. And that means any new system, how big or small, that we introduce in our business, I require that to be already today, to be fully open for connectivity, API-based platforms. So this will allow me to be a bit more flexible in the future if you want to add modules or maybe replace and get the data out in a clean format to be a little bit future-proof. Now the tools, I think that in an agile environment, with we're talking about sprints of 2 weeks. We can't follow in hotels, but we can find the partners that understand what we need from them and follow a little bit our requests. So we can look around what is available in the market, and if you have selected a platform with a true partner, you can develop and grow together. So it is really essential to do your homework in the beginning. Keep in mind the flexibility and connectivity potential of whatever you have chosen without losing sight of security.
Yeah. I think that's like you've nailed it there. I think it's about more than being just, we certainly see this here at Mews, being more than just a technology vendor, but being a partner as well and helping you succeed. And you've given this example as well with Flexkeeping, where you have metrics and goals and objectives, and Flexkeeping are here to be your partner in that and help you achieve your operational goals. Essentially, that actually leads perfectly on to the next question, which is for Flexkeeping specifically, Luka, about are you fully synchronized with Mews? And maybe you just want to give us a very quick overview of sort of the connection that you have with Mews. But I know you are on the marketplace and he's here on stage, so clearly it's good enough that we invited him up here. So.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a really deep and really good integration. And I would mention maybe one of the things we recently did together, which is a really nice thing. And if I would be asked the tech piece that I am most excited about next to AI is automation. It's not a tech piece per se, but the capabilities of it. Mm-hmm. Just for an example, so obviously all the two-way synchronization is there for years, but now what we've did is we went deeper. So the first thing we took is the Mews products thing and connected it with Flexkeeping. So what that means is if a guest wants to enhance their stay with any type of a product, we then automatically schedule that product, that service to the right team member, to the right team, or to multiple teams at the same time, and make sure that that product really is delivered. We even extend that further. You know, we can know if a guest has a birthday, if it's from a certain country, if his name is Charlie, and then really create bespoke services. I think personalization is obviously the big thing in hospitality right now, but automation is the thing that is now making it become a reality. And I personally am super, super excited. I know it sounds funny, I'm selling here our product, but I'm really excited about it because in theory, you can now create bespoke services and be sure that they are going to be delivered. And that's the difference. And this is exactly, again, why you need to have all team members connected. Because in some tasks, let's say tasks or things, you have a really important guest or something. That entails the kitchen preparing a special dish, the housekeeping preparing some setups, the GM saying hi at the check-in, multiple steps, right? Yep. And this can now be done with automation and deep integrations between softwares, completely seamlessly, completely streamlined. So you can actually now go and personalize every guest stay. And this is, I think, besides AI, one of the most exciting tech pieces I would look at if I would be on the other side currently.
Yeah, and that relates perfectly to one of the other questions that's in here about making accurate forecasts for housekeeping, because every guest does have different needs, different types of segments, etc. And so I guess from that you then have exactly that forecasting or understanding exactly what's required throughout the business and for all the different guests you have.
Definitely, that's one of your goals, for example, to have completely optimized resources in time, but B also forecasted accurately. And then that in combination with having multiple 100 rooms with multiple 100 different preferences at the same time. So, for example, we did over 800 changes in the schedule in a week. Yep. Yeah, absolutely a big opportunity, yeah.
Fantastic. I'm conscious we're almost at time. There is one last question in here. What are your favorite integrations to oil the machine? And maybe we skip Flexkeeping this. No, Tini, absolutely take it away. Like, what's your favorite integration for oiling the operational machine or that has had the best effect on your operations?
Yeah, so there's so many. I wanted to remember there were times in Mews where you didn't have a search bar in Marketplace.
I remember
It was
those as
just
well.
you had to look, but now there's like 1,000, I think, 1,000 integrations. So you need a search bar to find the integrations. And there's so many, and I don't want, I hope I don't get any problems afterwards with any of the tools, but I would just mention the tool which my front office loves the most. It's a really small startup. It's called Found It, and that's a lost and found integration. So you don't believe, as we are event location, swimming pool, and hotel, you don't have any idea how many lost items we have every day. 50 bathing suits, so we have so many things, and then we always had to like put it in a box and then stayed there, and then the client came, then whatever. And so now we just take a picture, and it's integrated with a two-way integration with Mews, and you automatically find the room number and the email. You just send an email, hello, I found your whatever. And then they pay directly with payment link, credit card is all paid. We get a QR code, we just peg it inside the box. We put the QR code, they come automatically to pick it up. It's just perfect.
Oh, wow, they handle all of like the shipping out to the guests.
Yes, they handle everything. We just need to put it in a box.
Wow.
And that's really great. And then I will mention the one which my boss loves the most. It's the one which is saving the most of money. That's the Better Space integration with the smart heating. So we have the Better Space tablets for the client information, like the in-room tablet information, but this integration with the heating, so the tablet knows if the room is occupied, thanks to Mews, to the integration. Yep. And so when I do the check-in in front office, then the heating goes up, and when the checkout is going down, and so that saves a lot of money.
Fantastic, yeah. You know, I love conversations like this because you're right, we have over 1,000 integrations on our marketplace now. I like to think I know a lot of them. I never heard of either.
Did you know Found It?
I didn't know either of these, so now I'm going to have to go and do my research as well. Yeah, fantastic. Maybe Diederik, from your side, anything?
I think I will highlight two, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest changes, what we have felt in the last few months, since we went live with the new platforms, was actually introducing unified payments. This has actually, I found out last week, I was visiting one of our properties, and I had a chat with the manager of the hotel, asking about, all these platforms, are you able to digest all these changes, how are things going? And she was very positive. And one thing stood out, and it was never on the list, it was never our intention, but this property has gone almost cashless. All payments are done either online, prepaid, or through cards. So there is a little buy effect that means that there's no more processing of cash, or almost no more processing of cash, which is, I think, a very nice catch. The other is, I think, the real-time reporting, having a dashboard, having a daily report that gives you insight in how you operate, how excellent your operations went, and how you did the last day. I think that's an important takeaway as well. For me, there's many more, and we hopefully next year I will tell it's Flexkeeping.
We'll work on it.
Yeah. So the ball is in your camp. But yeah, those are the big changes for us.
Fantastic.
The data and the cashless.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you to all three of you for joining me and for this conversation. I hope it's been valuable. We're at the end of time. There'll be sort of a 5-minute break now. If you want to head to one of the other sessions, you're welcome to. If not, you can stay seated here. And the next session is run by my wonderful colleague, Greg, on the importance of integration. So if you want to continue this conversation about integrations, marketplace, etc., Greg will be here to talk about that. Thank you very much.